New York City, the city that never sleeps. A sprawling metropolis bursting with life, ambition, and opportunity. For millions, it's a symbol of possibility, a place where dreams are made and fortunes are found. But just beneath the dazzling skyline and the bright lights of Times Square, there's another New York, a hidden city in plain sight, one marked not by wealth or glamour, but by desperation, struggle, and survival. This is the story of the homelessness crisis in New York City, a growing humanitarian disaster in one of the wealthiest cities on Earth. On any given night in New York City, tens of thousands of people sleep without a home. Some sleep in shelters, some on sidewalks, park benches, subway trains, or tucked away in hidden corners of the urban jungle. As of early 2024, more than 90,000 people, including over 30,000 children, are homeless across the 5 boroughs. These aren't just individuals who've fallen on hard times. Many are entire families, mothers and fathers trying to raise children inside the cold, impersonal walls of overcrowded shelters or even on the street. The sheer scale of this crisis is hard to comprehend. It's the highest level of homelessness the city has seen since the Great Depression of the 1930s. And the numbers don't even capture the full picture. There are thousands more who are invisible, couch surfing, staying temporarily with friends or living in cars. They're not counted in official tallies, but they live in just as much instability and fear as those in shelters or tents. How did we get here? The roots of New York's homelessness crisis stretch back decades. In the 1970s and 80s, the city faced a wave of economic decline, deindustrialization, and a loss of affordable housing. Entire neighborhoods were gutted. Public housing projects were underfunded and mismanaged. Rent-controlled units were lost to gentrification. Meanwhile, mental health institutions were shut down in large numbers, leaving many vulnerable individuals with nowhere to go and no support system. Over time, homelessness became not a short-term emergency, but a permanent condition for tens of thousands. Fast forward to today, and the situation is even more dire. The cost of living in New York City is astronomical. Rents in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and even the outer boroughs have soared. It's not uncommon for one-bedroom apartments to cost upwards of $3,000 a month. Wages, however, have not kept pace. For minimum wage workers, service employees, and even many full-time workers, the math simply doesn't add up. Working people, sometimes juggling 2 or even 3 jobs, are finding themselves priced out of housing. And it's not just about income. Discrimination, systemic inequality, and economic exclusion have kept many New Yorkers locked out of opportunity. Black and Latino communities are disproportionately affected. While Black residents make up around 24% of the city's population, they account for nearly 60% of its homeless population. This isn't coincidence. It's the legacy of decades of housing discrimination, economic redlining, and unequal access to education and employment. Then there are the undocumented immigrants and asylum seekers, people who came to New York searching for safety and a better life. Many arrived with little more than the clothes on their backs. As federal policies have shifted and border crossings increased, the city's shelter system has been overwhelmed. Thousands of migrants, including families and children, have ended up in temporary shelters, hotels, or sleeping outside as the city struggles to meet the demand. Mental illness and addiction are also central to the crisis. Walk through the streets of Midtown, the Bronx, or parts of Harlem, and you'll see it. People in visible distress, talking to themselves, rocking back and forth, or crying out for help. These are not criminals or outcasts. They are people failed by a broken mental health system. Many were discharged from hospitals or jails with no plan, no support, and no housing. The result is a city where mental illness plays out in public, on sidewalks, in subway stations, and beneath bridges. Substance abuse, especially opioids, has devastated entire communities. Fentanyl, in particular, has left a trail of overdoses and ruined lives. Some turn to drugs to escape the brutal conditions of life on the streets. Others fall into addiction after becoming homeless. Either way, the combination of addiction and homelessness creates a cycle that is incredibly difficult to break. The streets of New York are not kind to the homeless. Every day is a fight for survival. Winters are brutally cold. Summers are unbearably hot. The city is noisy, chaotic, and often dangerous. People living on the streets are exposed to crime, violence, and constant stress. Women face the constant threat of sexual assault. LGBTQ+ youth, especially trans individuals, face additional layers of discrimination and violence. Life in the shelter system isn't much better. While the city operates one of the largest shelter systems in the country, conditions vary widely. Many shelters are overcrowded, poorly maintained, and unsafe. Families are sometimes separated. There are strict curfews, long lines for meals and showers, and constant surveillance. For many, shelters feel more like prisons than places of refuge. And the longer people stay in shelters, the harder it becomes to escape the cycle of poverty and instability. Despite billions of dollars spent on programs, new shelters, and housing vouchers, the problem persists. Why? Part of the issue is bureaucracy. Navigating the city's housing assistance programs can be a nightmare. Endless paperwork, waiting lists, eligibility requirements, and delays. Vouchers often don't cover market rents. Landlords are reluctant to accept them, and without credit history or steady income, many applicants are simply denied. Then there's the issue of public perception. Homeless individuals are often treated with suspicion or contempt. They are frequently criminalized, arrested for loitering, trespassing, or simply trying to survive. The NYPD conducts sweeps of encampments, pushing people from one place to another without offering real alternatives. These actions do nothing to solve the problem. They simply make homelessness less visible, not less real. Public outcry has grown louder. Some New Yorkers demand tougher laws to clean up the streets. Others call for compassion, more services, and long-term solutions. Politicians often promise bold reforms but deliver Band-Aid solutions. A few temporary shelters here, a new hotline there, but rarely the deep systemic changes that are needed. Still, amidst the pain and despair, there are glimmers of hope. Community organizations, faith groups, and volunteers work tirelessly to help. They distribute food, blankets, hygiene kits, and sometimes just a little dignity. Nonprofits fight to build supportive housing, apartments where formerly homeless people can live with access to caseworkers, therapy, and job training. Outreach workers walk the streets day and night, trying to connect with people who have been abandoned by the system. One of the most promising models is housing first, a philosophy that says housing is not a reward for fixing your life. It's the foundation you need to begin. When people are given stable housing without strings attached, studies show they're more likely to recover from addiction, seek treatment, and reintegrate into society. New York has begun implementing this model in places, but scaling it up citywide requires real political will and sustained funding. Ultimately, the solution to New York's homelessness crisis will require more than just money. It will take a shift in how we see the issue, not as a nuisance to be removed, but as a moral challenge to be addressed. These are not nameless, faceless people. They are veterans, grandmothers, survivors of abuse, youth rejected by their families. They are New Yorkers, and they deserve a city that sees them, values them, and helps them rebuild. Every person sleeping in a subway car, in a shelter bed, or on the frozen sidewalk has a story. Most never imagined they'd end up here. But because of rising rents, broken health care, job loss, or personal tragedy, here they are. Forgotten by a system that claims to care. New York City has faced and overcome enormous challenges throughout its history: terrorism, blackouts, economic collapse, even a global pandemic. It has always found a way to rise. But the homelessness crisis is different. It isn't caused by some external force. It's a crisis created and maintained by policies, politics, and priorities. If New York is to be the city of dreams, it must be a city that doesn't abandon its most vulnerable. That means more affordable housing, more mental health care, more addiction treatment, more compassion, and a lot less red tape. It means recognizing that solving homelessness isn't charity, it's justice. Until that happens, the crisis will continue to grow. The streets will remain crowded with suffering, the shelters will remain full, and the promise of New York that it's a place for everyone will ring hollow for far too many. This is the truth behind New York City's homelessness crisis.